Facebook now before I actually start doing all my jabbering. So if somebody misses it and wants to hear it, they can go back and hear it afterwards on Facebook Live, or you'll be able to go to our website a couple of days and see it right there. But I tell you what. Life is fast lane every day. Brrr, put the pedal to the metal and brrr, don't ever stop. Don't ever stop. That kind of reminds me of that don't ever stop believing, and don't ever stop believing that you can do it all, because somehow you just have to. That's right. Hey, I had a great interview yesterday afternoon talking about bees, of all things, bees. I talked to Susan Jones. She has quite a background, and she has been a teacher, a competitor. She raises bees. She also is teaching down there at John Delahowe all about the bee buzzing bees, and we just had a great conversation. One of the things you might not be aware of is that bees have a certain dance that they use to tell other bees where the good honey is or where the good pollen and nectar is. Okay, and all this kind of stuff. So I highly recommend, when you get a second, go back and check out the bee buzzing all around. Now, I don't think, because we were working last night late, that got posted, but I could be wrong. But I could be right, and I am right. It is not posted yet. So, should be posted by tonight for tomorrow. Right now, if you want to see it, you can go back to our Facebook page, WCRS, 98.5 FM, 1450 AM, and of course, then go to videos, and it'll come right up. So that was actually probably the highlight. And when I'm talking about news, that probably was the highlight. Do you ever get tired of the news? Have you ever been news overload where you just say, when are we going to be able to take a break from this? You know, that's kind of where I am. I feel like every day we're being deluged with stuff, and if you've got a question or a comment about what I'm talking about this morning, don't forget 864-332-9355. That's 864-332-9355. That's the new text and message line. You can just call, leave a message. It converts it to a text. I see it, and then I can share it through your text right here live on the air, which is pretty cool for me because I love getting you all getting you all on the air with us to give me your insight on what we're talking about. So, yesterday, of course, Pam Bondi was on Capitol Hill and giving a rallying performance of how to work with the Senate. Yes, the Senate. She has a way. I'm just going to say she has a way. Yes, of just to putting everybody in their place, doesn't she? Now, I have got to admit, I think Pam Bondi does a great job. I am not a fan of the way she talks, but I do think she does a great job. And, of course, this explosive story that broke yesterday about how the FBI was asking for all the telephone records of specific senators. I don't know, might have been some House members, but some senators for sure, and who they were calling and this type of thing. That story broke yesterday. I don't know about you, but I am weary. I am weary of every day there's a story breaking and this is happening and that is happening. But there was a story that broke, and this is This is pretty bad. This is pretty bad. And it shows, I think, without a doubt, that the weaponization of the Justice Department against anybody that had an R in front of their name. Now, if they had, if they were really going to do an investigation, why was it all Republicans? Well, then, because the Democrats were in charge. So, of course, they wouldn't be investigating their own. But that's why it's not a real investigation. Because a real investigation, of course, would include, I think, all different sides of this. And I can only imagine how it feels to be President Trump and hear and to have known that a lot of these things were going on through the examples into his own life, and then to see more of this happening and unfolding every time you turn around. Kash Patel, of course, was putting a lot of this out there yesterday, and he said that basically he knew where to look. He knew what doors to what rooms to unlock and check behind. I'm a little surprised. I'm going to tell you the truth. I'm a little surprised that they left any of this information behind. I don't know how it could have been destroyed or anything else, but I am a little surprised that it was there. Or maybe, let's take a devil's advocate here. Maybe they wanted it to be found so that they could keep everything all tore up the way it is tore up. Regardless, it has been a story that will haunt the textbooks, if it makes it into the textbooks of our country and what we have been through to survive. Not only going into our 250th anniversary, and this is what we're dealing with. So, that being said, I'm not really going to say much else. There'll be more coming out. There'll be more to talk about, and that is what we will do. We will talk about it when more comes out. However, that is one story that is out there that is making news, and it's sad. Don't you think it's sad that we have that both sides hate each other so much that they cannot respect, that there is no respect for the other side. And I think from that standpoint, all people deserve respect. It just bothers me a lot to see us day after day. And you know what it does? It erodes your faith in just your fellow man, I think. We actually ask ourselves, why is everything so raw? Why are people doing this, that, and the other? It's because, well, I'm going to use the phrase, monkey see, monkey do. That's right. You see it of your officials, people that are supposed to be making laws and decisions and doing the largest of the people. And you see how they're acting, and all of a sudden people start saying, well, if they're acting this way, I might as well. And that is, unfortunately, we have lost our total decorum. We have lost our moral compass. Enough said. All right. So, moving on. One of the stories that is in the news is this story about the 46 people that were killed in domestic violence incidents in South Carolina last year. That's not over 2 years, 3 years, 5 years. That is just last year. And it says South Carolina's rate of women killed by men has dropped in recent years, though it remains above the national average. This is horrible to see in our state. When they for more than 2 decades, South Carolina was among the states with the highest rates of women killed by men, including multiple years with the highest rate in the nation. Although the state's rate has improved, it remained above the national average in 2023, with 1.8 of every 100,000 women killed by a man, according to the most recent report available through the Violence Policy Center. Attorney General Alan Wilson called the names of each of the 46 victims, 35 women and 11 men killed in incidents of domestic violence last year, as volunteers, family, and friends carried cutouts representing their loved ones to stand behind him. The silent witness ceremony, which is in its 28th year, is meant to honor the victims and their families, as well as survivors of domestic violence. The ceremony, which drew several hundred people to the State House on Tuesday, also brings attention to an issue that can easily get overlooked because it often happens within a person's home. So, of the people honored Tuesday, 91% were killed at home. Half were parents who left behind children, Wilson said. This is not the future our children deserve. Laws to protect people from domestic violence are in place, but local law enforcement departments need officers who are ready to arrest those suspected of committing domestic abuse. Prosecutors need to be prepared to support victims, and the General Assembly needs to elect judges who will get convicted abusers strong enough sentences to deter them from reoffending. They also say providing resources for people with mental health issues that may affect their relationships. And educating the public. This is a terrible, terrible abuse that ends quite often in death that needs to be resolved. And yet, even in our own community, a woman who snapped because she had been abused so many times and stabbed her, I don't know whether he was her husband, I guess he was her husband, and he died, has been in jail for several years now, and has been in front of a parole board. The first time they did not allow her out. She's had quite a concentrated effort from Greenwood, Tiffany Carroll, and this is a tragic. I think I got her name right. This is a tragic case. I think she's got 4 or 5 small children. Some of them were very young. She did suffer from domestic abuse, and she did snap, and yes, she did kill her husband. But should she be behind bars? Many, many, many people, judges, our police chief, all of them say not. They knew they had been to their place, their residence many times on being called because of the abuse that was going on. This time, this woman, Tiffany Carroll, I believe I have the name right. I sure hope I do. I'm doing this from memory. She snapped. And I think that anybody could say in that situation, she was fighting for her life and the life of her children. Why this case hasn't been moving her onto parole when so many people have stood up for her is a case that I do not understand. Now, you may remember several years ago, John McCravey went during the first time that she was brought in front of the parole board was involved. I understand now there is another lawyer that is fighting for it. She was up for parole, a few weeks ago, and the attorney that is representing her wanted some more information before they went in front of the parole board. So I don't believe that it has come in front of the parole board, but hopefully this time she will get out. But when we talk about domestic abuse and how much is somebody supposed to take, And how can one protect themselves when you have somebody? That's where Meg's House comes in. Meg's House helps with sheltering those that are in a domestic abuse, men or women, although the preponderance is of women. But we have organizations, we have help. Tiffany Carroll has received a lot of support here in Greenwood. Our hope, or mine actually, my hope and prayer is that she is released from prison, that she can try to put her life back together and go on and live and raise her children. So we'll be pulling for Tiffany Carroll. This has been a horrific case. It's got a lot of attention across, not only here in Greenwood, but across the state because of the way this case has been handled. This actually becomes a case that I'm sure Ellen Wilson, from the standpoint of being concerned about, she was a victim and she did something about being a victim, and she has continued to suffer in jail. One of the things that keeps coming across, though, as the more we read about different things happening, is how we choose judges has to change. Judges have been given in our state, maybe not in other states, but in our state, by the way that they come through the system, and they've been given a lot of latitude. We're supposed to hold our judges in the highest esteem. They're supposed to be impartial. They're supposed to. But it is a problem in South Carolina. Do we actually bring down justice? Is there a two-tiered justice system? These are some of the things that our legislators need to take up, how judges are chosen. You know, in certain places, judges are elected, and that's considered, that's bad, because that means if someone contributes to their campaign that they might be able to protect themselves a little bit more from the wrath of a judge. But judges also, and that is true, legislatures, when they put their stamp of approval on a judge, can they put undue pressure on a judge to get a more favorable solution, a more favorable judgment on that person? These are things that are questions, and there are definitely examples that have showed that sometimes undue pressure can be put on a judge. I was watching, I'll just go ahead and say it. I like SVU, Victims Unit, I love that show. And I don't know why, because I used to watch it. Then now I'm watching it in reruns, and the new season I think starts Thursday or something. What's pretty funny is when you see a series that's been on for a while, right? And you see the people age, and you go, wow, I didn't know I didn't know she was that old. Anyways, I digress. But my point is that in so many cases, they kind of expose all the different aspects of the case. Where does the judge sit on this? I was watching one the other day, where the judge looked at the couple, the woman. This was a case where she almost killed her daughter, young baby, small child. She almost killed her daughter the first time, and then she got acquitted on the case, and then the second time she finally accomplished it. And of course there was a lot of question about the judge, and the judge's answer was, and this is TV, but I'm using it to make a point. The judge said she looked like a nice person. And that was kind of like, well, he was finished as being a judge, because you can't look at people as nice people. You have to look at just the facts. And so in South Carolina, we have had issues with some of our judges. I'm sure any state does. But is there a more fair way to make sure that judges are not beholden to any person or persons? That is the question. And that is something that they'll be looking at this year. But to get back to this domestic violence issue that we have in South Carolina, it is horrific that we have been at the number one. It is great that we have been able to move our numbers down, but still to have 46 people killed in domestic violence incidents in South Carolina last year. That's a huge number and should not be. I wanted to bring that up because that's a ceremony that happens every year. It would be lovely, but just think what we have to do to get from 46 to 0 or 46 to 5, or that's a huge lift to get to that across our state. And that's one of the things about domestic abuse is that is something that children see, they grow up seeing it, they become abusers. That is why, in my opinion, it is so important that we go back to, that's a weird word, isn't it? Go back to having two-parent families, a mom, a dad, children, the nuclear family, grandparents as part of it, aunts and uncles, this whole thing. That's why it is so important that we try to reestablish it, because children do what they see their parents do. Monkey see, monkey do. And so Beyond Abuse works a lot in helping people get through the issues that they're dealing with, that maybe they grew up seeing their parents argue. Maybe they saw their dad abusing their mom, and then a guy or a woman has become an abuser. It is a cycle, and the only way to break that cycle is to change what is happening. So, that being said, we have organizations out there that work on that, but what it really goes back to is the family unit needs to be not broken. And I don't know if we'll ever see that or not. Better laws, of course, stiffer penalties, keep people off the streets so that they cannot abuse. But the very fact is that we have too many young children growing up seeing their mother, their dad abused, the abuser, and they look at it and say it's okay. And that's where we have to make the change, that it's not okay. All right, so I'm Ann Eller. That's Ann on her soapbox today. In case you didn't know it, that's Ann on her soapbox. All right, what else is happening here today? Wow, I did not know this. Okay, conversion therapy for LGBTQ plus minors goes before the Supreme Court. The U.S. Supreme Court on Tuesday is scheduled to hear oral arguments. That was Tuesday. Today's Wednesday, in a case that could reverse or solidify state laws across the country that ban a controversial counseling practice for LGBTQ plus youth. The case challenges a 2019 Colorado law that bans conversion therapy for children and teens. So that is something that is before the courts. All right, here we go. What else have we got today? I thought I would see something about a very disturbing case, but since I don't, I will not be going into it today. But let's see what else is out there. We've got this afternoon, we are going to be talking about all that jazz. We're supposed to have Stephen Galloway, a saxophonist extraordinaire, Lander grad, and he is really made it pretty darn big. He is going to be at Greenwood Performing Arts program on the 16th, Thursday, October 16th, 7 to 9 at the Inn on the Square. Lisa Sanders will be joining us for part of the show, and so will Stephen Galloway. So looking forward to hearing what he has to say. I hope he's going to play a little bit for us. So make sure you tune in for that this afternoon at 5 o'clock. 5 o'clock. So that's another thing that's going on. What else do I have here this morning? I had some good stories. After talking about some of these things, I did have some good stories I wanted to share with you. We didn't do the weather, so let's go ahead and check out the weather. Okay. Let's see. Where is the weather? What will the weather be today? That is the question. The weather is whatever the weather will be. We are at 71 degrees, feels like 71. We are headed for a high today of 83. So that is cloudy skies, a stray shower or thunderstorm is possible. High of 83, no real chance of any rain. Thursday, it looks like no chance of rain. Thursday, a high of 72, low of 50. Friday, a high of 70, a low of 52. Saturday, a high of 75 and a low of 52. Sunday, a high of 75, low of 52. I tell you what, folks, I have got to get out of here this morning, so I'm going to let it go here today. I hope you all have a great day, and I'll be looking forward to seeing you at 5 o'clock right here on WCRS Radio. That's going to do it for me. Cue the curtain. I'm sorry, folks, I just don't feel very well this morning. Okay, here we go. End the video and have a great day. That's it for me right here on WCRS Radio. Whew.